So I went through with my highlighter. I'm gonna try. It's like soon as I think we're gonna start. It's okay. Welcome to the Village Board meeting of June 4th, 2025. We will be led in the Pledge of Allegiance this evening by our village clerk, Manal Desai.
Please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So the meeting is officially called to order, and I would ask our village clerk to please call the roll. Trustee Pierce-Lovan.
Here.
Trustee Schechter.
Here.
Trustee Kimani Levy.
Here.
Trustee Robinson.
Here.
Trustee Iverson.
Here.
Trustee Lissa Levy.
Here.
Mayor Tennis.
Here, and we have a quorum. Next item on the agenda is approval of the consent agenda. Is there anything anyone would like removed from the consent agenda? If not, a motion is in order.
So moved.
Thank you, Trustee Robinson. Is there a second by Trustee Pierce-Lovan? Will the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Lissa Levy.
Aye.
Trustee Pierce-Lovan.
Aye.
Trustee Schechter.
Aye.
Trustee Kimani Levy.
Aye.
Trustee Robinson.
Aye.
Trustee Iverson.
Aye.
And the motion passes. We have a number of proclamations this evening. We've got a lot to celebrate. I'm going to read two of them, and then Trustee Robinson is going to do us the honor of reading the Juneteenth proclamation. So I'll start by reading the proclamation for Immigrant Heritage Month. Whereas generations of immigrants have settled in the United States from every corner of the globe and have built our country's economy and created the unique character of our nation, and whereas nearly all of us can trace our heritage to another nation, and we must never forget where we came from and why our ancestors came here, and whereas immigrants continue to grow businesses, offer innovative ideas, strengthen our economy, and create jobs in Illinois and throughout our nation. Whereas immigrants provide neighborhoods in the village of Skokie with unique social and cultural influence, fundamentally enriching the extraordinary character of our hometown. And whereas immigrants have been tireless leaders in securing their own rights and access to equal opportunity, but have also persevered to create a fairer and more just society for all Americans. And whereas the village of Skokie will continue to support more inclusive and just policies. And whereas immigration enhances the village of Skokie's culture and prosperity as foreign-born individuals and their families continue to diversify our neighborhoods and strengthen our economy. And whereas the residents of the village of Skokie represent over 100 countries and over 90 different languages are spoken within the homes of our community. Now therefore I, Ann Tennis, Mayor of the village of Skokie, do hereby proclaim June 2025 as Immigrant Heritage Month in the village of Skokie and do urge all citizens to join in this celebration. The next proclamation is for Pride Month. And before I read the proclamation, I would like to recognize some individuals, both elected and staff, from the Skokie Park District. Park Board President Susan Aberman is with us this evening. Vice President Ezra Jaffe is here as well, and Commissioner Courtney Williams is here, who will be receiving the proclamation and speaking to us for a few minutes, and the Park District Executive Director and longtime friend of the village, Michelle Tuft. So welcome to all of you this evening. Whereas Skokie welcomes everyone, and we are a village committed to equity and inclusion for all residents. And whereas Skokie has a thriving lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer LGBTQ+ community, including people of all ethnicities, religions, and professions. And whereas the month of June is designated as Pride Month to commemorate the Stonewall Uprising in New York City in June of 1969, which is widely recognized as a catalyst of the LGBTQ+ rights movement. And whereas we reaffirm that LGBTQ+ rights are human rights, we support the diversity of sexual and gender identities in Skokie, and we stand against intolerance and discrimination to all people. And whereas the fabric of our community is strengthened by justice and love. Now therefore I, Ann Tennis, Mayor of the Village of Skokie, do hereby proclaim the month of June as Pride Month in the Village of Skokie, and encourage residents to celebrate this month with programs and activities, including the Skokie Pride event on Sunday, June 22nd, 2025, at Oakton Park. Commissioner Williams, if you'll join me at the podium.
Thank you, Mayor Tennis. And I'm not going to use the microphone because I went to Northwestern, so my parents paid for me to be able to do this. As the mayor mentioned, my name is Courtney Williams, and I am a member of the Skokie Park District Board. And I just want to offer a heartfelt thank you for this Pride Proclamation, and really for your support of inclusivity, of equality, and respect for all members of the community. When we think about Skokie, we really do welcome all. And the fact that we have a Pride Proclamation and Pride programming for LGBTQ+ individuals is so important. And I think we can recognize now more than ever this type of visible support and programming is incredibly important. And again, just want to thank you so much for your continued support of our programming. Encourage everyone to come out to our Skokie Pride programming and not just celebrate Pride in June, which is Pride Month, but throughout the rest of the year, because we want to welcome all and all of our members of the community all throughout the year. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Williams. And now Trustee Keith Robinson will read the Juneteenth proclamation.
Beautiful, and thank you. I really appreciate the opportunity to read the proclamation. Whereas President Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation on January 1st, 1863, ordering the freedom of all people enslaved in Confederate territory. And whereas on June 19th, 1865, Union Major General Gordon Granger announced the end of the Civil War and the signing of the Emancipation Proclamation in Galveston, Texas, legally freeing the last of the Confederacy's enslaved people. And whereas Juneteenth, also known as Emancipation Day or Freedom Day, has been a tradition in the United States for more than 150 years, commemorating the Galveston announcement and celebrating the freedom of African Americans. And whereas continued anti-black violence and systemic racism compel us to acknowledge and reckon with painful history and legacy of slavery and racial injustice in the United States. And whereas in 1961, the first documented African American family purchased a home in the village of Skokie, and their courage and perseverance, as well as the establishment of the Skokie Human Relations Commission in 1961, and the passage of the first fair housing ordinance in 1968 paved the way for thousands of black residents of African American and diverse ethnic cultures who currently call Skokie home. And whereas black leaders in education, government, business, faith communities, journalism, science, sports, and entertainment, those both known and those uncredited, have enriched Skokie, Chicagoland, and the country, the world. And whereas we believe that through love and equity, we can take steps to together ensure full freedom and opportunity for all, this year's community Juneteenth celebration in the village of Skokie will take place on June 14th, 2025, under the theme of Community Unity. Now, therefore, I, she, Ann Tennis, the mayor of Village of Skokie, Illinois, do hereby declare June 19th, 2025 as Juneteenth in the Village of Skokie and urge all residents to recognize the significance of this celebration in African American history and in the heritage of our nation and village. Past this 4th day of June, 2025.
Trustee Robinson and I will go to the podium in a moment. I'd like to recognize Nancy Kim Phillips with the Skokie Public Library, Brian Williams with Skokie United, Natasha Lavalius with District 69, Samina Hussein with District 219, and our own Sergeant Brandy Shelton from the Skokie Police Department, who are here tonight to represent the Juneteenth Committee.
He keeps reminding us of community unity.
Yes, yes. I'm Brian Williams. I want to thank you for this honor. I represent Skokie United. Our goal is to bring our community together through all of our identities, really, and that includes minorities as our LGBTQ community. That includes our many that are underrepresented in many ways. And this particular day, June 14th, is when we celebrate, but June 19th is really historic and important because we don't always recognize African Americans in our community. We recognize cultural differences, we recognize a lot of things, but sometimes we just don't point out, let's recognize the Black Americans of our community. And we couldn't celebrate this without a tribe of people who've come together, and there's a number of organizations that have been recognized. The police department, thank you, Chief. Thank you, Mayor. The village, the library, the park district, the school districts, Oakton College, a number of organizations that have helped support and help plan this event. And this is our 5th year that we're doing this. And none of it would be possible without community unity. It's a fact, it's not a cliche. So I'm very proud to be a representative of this. I welcome you all to come and celebrate this American Historic Day on June 14th. At Oakton Park. We will celebrate, we'll have fun, we will share resources and information, we will help people to understand you are a part of this community. Whether you're African American, Black, or not, you are welcome to be a part of this celebration. We recognize that this particular day is to celebrate Juneteenth, but we also recognize that this particular day is to celebrate Skokie, so thank you.
Thank you. We now have our allotted time for public comments, 3 minutes per person. Nick, is the shot clock, yep, shot clock's in action. Would anyone like to address the board before we proceed with the agenda? Sure. Please provide us with your first and last name.
Irvin Schiffman, live on Howard Street in Skokie. Good evening, Madam Mayor and trustees. The 187 Boxing Club has already obtained a event sanctioned for August 3rd. They've previously hosted an event in Skokie, and the club is very nearby, but May 28th, 2023 at the Assyrian Center. And I want to know how we can approach it to have this event outside. And after hearing everything just now, there's nothing more multicultural and multi-ethnic than amateur boxing. I had possibly the idea of having it on Main Street, but just want to know how to proceed to trying to have this event outside this year. This is the umbrella group is USA Olympic Committee. There's no approval needed by the state of Illinois. Amateur boxing is, a totally separate entity. But I know we would need, village permission to have, an event outside.
Mr. Shipman, thank you for bringing this to our attention. There is a process that is administered through the village manager's office for special events. So someone who's affiliated with the group should contact our village manager's office to be walked through the process.
Okay. All right, good.
Thank you.
Okay, good luck.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Hello there. My name is Jim Barnard. I represent Go Green Skokie. We would like to ask if it's possible to extend the rebates on the electric leaf blowers and electric lawn mowers. We think that's a very successful program. Go Green Skokie will be talking up these pieces of equipment all summer now. So if that has expired, it doesn't encourage us as much. We would love to see that continued, and we'll try to drive more people to buy these things and come collect the rebates. Is that possible?
I will tell you that when I read through our voucher list for this evening, I was excited to see so many rebates going to residents, so the program is popular. We do budget a fixed amount of money every year for this. I am going to defer to the village manager on where we're at.
So the village board is considering the budget this evening, and within the budget that started May 1, there is this continuation of the program. And so
Okay.
the program is alive and well, and so it continues until that line item is exhausted. And so we're pleased that the community's interested in it. Thank you for your support and advocating for the program. And the mayor and board and staff share your passion for this program.
All right, well, Go Green Skokie will back that, and we'll let people know about it. We'll make sure that everybody knows.
Please do.
Thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to address the board? If not, we'll proceed with our agenda. The next item is the report of our village manager, John Lockerbie.
Thank you, Mayor Tennis and Village Board, and good evening, everyone. Tonight, item A is regarding the adoption of the fiscal year 2026 budget. The memorandum included in the packet this evening is a summary of the actions and decisions made by the Mayor and Board of Trustees during their review of the budget. These actions are the result of 3 public hearings conducted by the board in May. In summary, the FY 2026 general fund budget, or commonly known as the operating budget, equates to $73,859,523. All funds, including water, pension, economic development, motor fuel and local fuel tax, self-insurance, general obligation, bonded debt, tax increment financing, federal aid, the Performing Arts Center, Convention and Visitors Bureau, special service areas, wireless alarms, and capital improvement program total $169,042,279. Board approval of the FY 2026 budget is respectfully requested.
Thank you, John. We need a motion for approval of the fiscal year 2026 budget. Is there a motion? Moved by trustee Robinson. Is there a second? Moved by trustee Lissa Levy. Any comments or discussion? Trustee Schechter.
This is just a comment. I just really want to commend Mr. Lockerbie and the staff for pulling together this budget. It was a monumental task and really well done, and all of the boards and commissions also that came before us. And I just wanted to mention one thing that I think is wonderful. You know, I often talk about budgets because I direct just as trustee Pure Slovan an organization, so we know that budgets are moral documents, they're political documents. And one of the things I love in this budget is we start with 4 goals for Skokie. So those are around service delivery, fiscal responsibility, public health, and sustainability and development. And you can read those. And I just feel like those are excellent. I would add a 5th, which I would call connection and connectivity, which is the extent to which our programs, policies, and their delivery contribute to collaboration. We have that. And I just want to, lift that up. So, for example, connecting land and people and wildlife as part of the sustainability plan, promoting sense of community and civic engagement, and all our cross-systems work, whether it's around rat abatement, youth engagement in jobs, an age-friendly or walkable Skokie, things like the co-responder program, all the work of Health and Human Services, mixed income housing. These are all great things that promote, that sort of militate against silos. And I just think that's a really good thing. I just wanted to lift that up as that we have these through lines in our budget.
Thank you, Trustee Schechter. Any other comments? Trustee Iverson.
I'd just like to add, as a comment, that the size of the budget, it's very complex and thorough, highly detailed, and that's daunting, I think, to regular people. However, it is very accessible, and if you start at the beginning, you can find the areas that interest you and be directed towards the details that you want to follow up on. I bring it up to encourage everybody to take some time and look at the budget. We'll be going through this again in just 1 year, much shorter than 1 year actually, and that's all I wanted to mention.
Thank you, Trustee Iverson. After this evening, our communications staff, working in concert with the village manager's office, will create a budget at a glance that will make the figures and the priorities of this fiscal year 26 budget even more accessible to residents. So looking forward to that, and it will be distributed and on the website and made available. Any other comments? Not, would the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Lista Levy?
Aye.
Trustee Pure Slovan?
Aye.
Trustee Schechter?
Aye.
Trustee Kimani Levy?
Aye.
Trustee Robinson?
Aye.
Trustee Iverson?
Aye.
And the motion passes. The next item on our agenda is a presentation on the village's residential rental unit standards and neighborhood integrity program, which is celebrating its 10th anniversary this year. So look forward to an informative presentation. Johanna Knighton, our Community Development Director, Police Chief Jesse Barnes, Health and Human Services Director Mike Charlie, Officer Rich Wilkin, and Angel Schnur from our Property Standards Division. Thank you all for being here this evening.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Good evening, Johanna Knighton, Community Development Director. We are going to walk through this ordinance, but first, the mayor already gave us a lovely welcome. We comprise multiple departments across the village that support and implement the neighborhood integrity ordinance. This is not just an ordinance, it's an approach to how we work to support and sustain neighborhoods throughout Skokie with high-quality housing. In addition to the departments represented here, we also work with our fire department, our legal department, and the village manager's office. A little history and background. The neighborhood integrity ordinance was adopted in January of 2014. So we're well into our double digits of years with this ordinance on the books. It was a series of code requirements that enabled the village to require training of landlords to make sure that they were learning the best practices for managing their property, their residential properties. It established a requirement that brought village inspectors into properties so we could see the conditions and make sure that landlords were making adjustments to common areas and exterior elements of buildings to make sure that they were more code compliant. We established an annual fee for the rental registration, $25 a unit. And in cases where landlords were compliant, though that fee was waived after 3 years of good compliance. We introduced a crime-free housing addendum. And finally, we have worked to require a more consistent approach to the landlord and tenant relationships, and to make sure that tenants are treated fairly and in accordance with fair housing laws. So before I turn it over, I just wanted to offer a little introduction to the rest of the presentation. The ordinance is a tool. It creates structure and how we approach creating good neighborhoods and good safe spaces in our community. But it's more than just codes, it's relationships. It fosters positive communication throughout our community. So Chief Barnes is going to take us through a little bit of what his department does.
Sure.
And then we'll turn it over to the rest of the team.
I think the biggest thing to remember as far as the police department's involvement in this is it really establishes a structured relationship between the police department and landlords and tenants. We have the designated police liaison, the neighborhood standards or neighborhood integrity officer, that is kind of a clearinghouse for concerns that come from tenants and concerns that come from landlords. We believe that obviously community safety it's a partnership with everybody. We have other community partners. We had some from the Park District here earlier. We obviously have a relationship with the school districts. We have the beat meetings. We have our block watch captains. Those are all partnerships within the community that make the community safer. This is just an extension of those. We have clear guidelines, consistency. Obviously, consistency is important for accountability when it comes to situations where there does need to be enforcement. And having a designated liaison that can be a go-to for a landlord that has a question or a tenant that has a concern is important for us. Our people are out there interacting with all segments, landlords, tenants, for a variety of calls for service. It's important for our officers to have somebody that they can point those people to for resources and get consistent information and have some subject matter experts in that realm. So this empowers landlords as partners in community safety, like I said, in a proactive way. It's not in a punitive way. It's letting them know the rules up front, making sure that some of these landlords, this is not their full-time job. So it's important for us to do training and education, make sure that they're not violating the rights of their tenants. And also when tenants have concerns and they don't want to go to their landlord with them, a lot of times when people don't know who to go to, they call us. So we want to be able to, if they call communications or they're interacting with an officer on the street, point them to somebody who's got a little bit extra training in this realm to point them in the right direction. So we're really strengthening the tenant protections through collaboration as well as educating the landlords. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Mike Charlie from Health to talk a little bit about what they do with that.
Thanks, Jesse. So, good evening, Mayor, Board of Trustees. My name is Mike Charlie, and I'm the Health and Human Services Director for the Village. So, and I thank you guys for this opportunity tonight. I'm honored to provide an overview of Skokie's Fair Housing Ordinance and to illustrate how it works in concert with the Neighborhood Integrity Ordinance to advance the village's commitment to equity, safety, and community well-being. Skokie has a proud and progressive history in advancing equitable housing. In fact, as Trustee Robinson mentioned earlier, in 1968 it was passed, but in 1969 the Fair Housing Ordinance was effective, and we were actually one of the first municipalities in the entire state of Illinois to pass a Fair Housing Ordinance, demonstrating our long-standing dedication to civil rights and community inclusivity. So the Fair Housing Ordinance guarantees that every individual has the right to access housing free from discrimination based on race, color, religion, national origin, gender, disability, marital status, as well as many other protected characteristics. It is not only rooted in law, but grounded in the values that define Skokie as a welcoming and inclusive community. To ensure these protections are meaningful, the Human Rights Commission is authorized to investigate complaints of discrimination, hold public hearings, and impose remedies and penalties where appropriate. This local oversight ensures that Skokie residents have access to timely, responsive support when facing housing-related discrimination. So where does the Fair Housing where the Fair Housing Ordinance ensures equal access, the Neighborhood Integrity Ordinance promotes safe and responsible housing practices. And in many sections of the Neighborhood Integrity Ordinance, it refers to the fair housing. Together, they establish a comprehensive framework that supports both tenant protections and community integrity. Key components of the Neighborhood Integrity Ordinance that specifically reference the Fair Housing Ordinance include landlord education. All landlords have to attend a village-led seminar that includes fair housing training, and this helps ensure that landlords understand their legal obligations and the values underpinning them. There's also a section on tenant awareness. Before showing the rental unit, even before showing it, the landlord is responsible for providing prospective tenants with fair housing information. This promotes transparency and empowers residents with knowledge of their rights from the onset of that relationship. And then there's staff training. Key personnel, including members of the police department and property standards division, receive ongoing fair housing training, which reinforces consistency and equity in enforcement practices across departments. The last thing I wanted to mention was the last bullet point on community mediation. So the Health and Human Services Department has a partnership with the Northwest Municipal Conference and the Center for Conflict Resolution, where we offer neutral professional mediation services. These services allow landlords and tenants to resolve these disputes constructively, often avoiding legal proceedings and fostering healthier landlord-tenant relationships. So in conclusion, together these ordinances reflect more than just the municipal code. They represent Skokie's deeply held commitment to dignity, safety, and opportunity for all Skokie residents. And by aligning legal enforcement with education, as everyone here is going to represent tonight, and community resources, we ensure that Skokie remains a place where everyone can thrive and live. So I want to thank you again for giving me the opportunity to provide a little bit of information about the Fair Housing Ordinance. And up next is Officer Rich Wilkins of the Skokie Police Department.
Thank you. Thanks for having me tonight. My name is Officer Rich Wilkin. I've been the Crime Prevention and Community Relations Officer in the Police Department since 2017. And with the retirement of Officer Marzigliano, who was the Neighborhood Standards Officer approximately 2 days ago, I have now taken on the role of Neighborhood Standards Officer as well. I had the benefit of not only interacting with community, but also interacting with Officer Marzigliano while he administered the program. So I have some opportunity to understand the program, not only as a police officer in the department, but also as a landlord myself. I've been a tenant, like possibly many of you. I also have properties in other municipalities that fall underneath the crime-free housing program, and also have incorporated a lot of the tenets of the crime-free lease addendum into my leases for my units as well. So I am deeply ingrained in a lot of the safety-related concepts of the ordinance. Within the ordinance, the concepts that are run through the police department are really the rental unit registration alongside property standards, requiring the landlords to register the majority of the rental units that fall within the program. Also, the the mandatory landlord training seminar that's required of everyone that, with their property, if they're going to rent it out, and it falls within those guidelines. Additionally, the crime-free lease addendum, which I'll touch on here briefly, it also introduces the Neighborhood Standards Officer role, which is a resource for not only landlords through the program, tenants. I have the opportunity to review some of the reports that have come in. It's also a resource for neighbors, for other community organizations. So it's kind of like, as Chief Barnes said, a clearinghouse, where many of the housing-related issues or neighbor-related issues are being funneled to this position in the police department. It also, the integrity ordinance establishes a whole of village approach, as many have about before me, creating the concept that this isn't one program just necessarily run by the police department. It is a village-wide program that is to impact all residents, including our rental residents, in a positive way and promote safe housing and bring all services together. It also introduces the concept of crime prevention through environmental design, and which in my position as the crime prevention community relations officer, I've gone out several years and done what we call security surveys, which we offer not only to landlords, but to tenants, but to residents, businesses. Everyone in the village is able to take advantage of this opportunity, have a trained officer who's trained in the crime prevention concepts that can give an overview of their property or maybe the business operation that they're running, and give them some tips and strategies on how to maintain safety for not only their occupants, but their properties as well. And it's really geared towards community and resident safety. Just to highlight on some of the things about the landlord seminar, the seminar includes a review of the neighborhood integrity ordinance and the rental registration ordinance, and that's in conjunction with property standards. It introduces the neighborhood standards officer as a liaison, not just to landlords in the program, but also to their tenants, and also to the neighbors. It introduces the crime-free lease addendum and some of the tenets of the crime-free lease addendum, which is an additional rider to the lease that the village requires by ordinance that the landlords and the tenants agree to. And it's required of all the units that are covered under the rental registration program. So there's a requirement that all occupants of the unit over the age of 18 agree to the crime-free lease addendum. And it addresses criminal activity, including Class A misdemeanors on or near the property and felony criminal activity anywhere. And this addendum creates a civil agreement between the landlord and the tenant, and outlines a lot of expectations for safety, not just in the unit, but also in the neighborhood and in the community. And then, just like every civil case, because it's an agreement, the preponderance of the evidence in that is a proof is the agreement. So some of the strategies that are talked about through the crime prevention, through environmental design portion of the seminar are really about maintaining the safety and integrity of the neighborhood. So what we term as SEPTED, so we talk about those. We talk about routine and pre-sale inspections under the program. We offer those security surveys, and they're, like I said, available to anyone. We also really promote those concepts to reduce the opportunities for crime that are presented by the physical environment. Just as a note, I had the opportunity, since I've been in this position 2 days now, to talk to a landlord who I also had the opportunity to talk to approximately 2 years ago about a traffic issue at her property. So unrelated, the traffic issue was really about people cutting through her property, but I identified that she had some other issues, and so I was able to funnel her over to Officer Marzigliano so she could address some of the tenant issues that she was having on her property. But she was able to fill me in on that she had a positive outcome. She had a tenant that had some personal issues with someone, and they were able to implement some of these crime prevention strategies by changing maybe some of the landscaping and things like that, that actually eliminated the opportunity for those security concerns for the tenant. So that was a positive outcome for that. But we talk about natural surveillance, which is designing the spaces for maximum visibility, access control, making sure doors are locked, things like that. We talk about territorial concern, which is simply making it clear that the property is owned and cared for, or even leased. You know, we have long-term tenants who have been in units for a very long time, and they have an ownership. Even if they don't own the physical unit, they do have an ownership in that property. Right, so we talk about that, and we talk about activity support and what the property can actually can handle, right? Maybe there's an opportunity to give the residents of that property the ability to maybe have a patio in the back where they can join together, but also by being together, they can also keep an eye on the property. So that's some of the things. And then maintenance, the expectation that property owners should take care of their property and to create vibrant spaces and neighborhoods that all residents can enjoy. I'd like to turn that over to Ms. Schnurr from Property Standards.
Thank you. My name is Angel Schnurr, and I'm the Building and Inspection Services Manager, and I oversee the Property Standards Inspectors, the division that works in conjunction with the Police Department and the Health Department to make sure that we are providing as safe housing as possible to our residents in Skokie. One of the things I want to highlight is that this program is not just about us coming to do inspections. It's not just about the police responding to calls for service. It's really a joint effort among all of the village staff and the residents. We have expectations in this program for landlords. They have to maintain their property. They have to follow the ordinances. They have to do the registration requirements. We have requirements for tenants. They have to keep their space clean. They have to make sure that the landlord can get in to do the repairs that they need to do. And then we as a village have responsibilities to respond to concerns and to be available to help whenever possible. So it really is a joint effort for this program. We offer 3 different ways in the Property Standards Division that we can help ensure that our housing is safe. We have a village inspection program, what we call routine rental inspections, and we inspect the interior common areas and the exterior areas of rental properties to make sure that the landlords are maintaining those properties safe for the tenants that are living there, but also safe and nice and agreeable to the neighborhood. So we do inspections of exterior and common elements. We also have a pre-sale inspection requirement, so any rental property that is being transferred undergoes an inspection. That inspection encompasses the entire building, interior and exterior common areas, as well as unit inspections. Under this program, we inspect the units